Shut up and sit down.
So I went on Facebook and asked my Facebook friends that I was going to interview a truck driver, and I asked them for their questions, and so these are the questions that they wanted answers for. So first of all, who are you?
Juan Pablo Montoya. Nathan Schrum.
And how are you in relation to us?
I don't know. I am husband and father to these children. To Lisa, Eric, Michelle, Sam, and Nathan Jr.
Nice. Anyway, alright, so here let's start the questions. So when did you start driving truck and why?
I got my Class A license when I was 19 years old. Why? Well, I got a job when I was like 18. I was working at Magnelia Steel, just loading, actually flatbeds, trucks for drivers and that stuff. It was kind of cool, but wasn't actually something really thought about driving trucks. But to be all honest, it was actually mother seeing that I was joined or whatever, and she gave me an option to help me out and take a 2-week crash course in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin to get my Class A license, because to be all honest, I was kind of a screw up and screw off, an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid that was probably not the old best motivation on basically work was to help me build cars and have parties and everything else. And so she thought, I think in her own way, was steering me in the right direction, that she seen something out of it. So I went and took the 2-week course and actually kind of really took it serious and fell in love with it and came to look at it.
How old are you when you did that?
I was 19.
I was 19. Alright, so how long have you driven truck?
So on your roundabout, ever since 19, it helped out like little things, but basically last 6 years, 7 years, I've been solid in trucking in some format.
So probably like 10 years total with the shagging and the...
No, yeah, it's over 10 years, but...
Cool. So what do you think the best thing about trucking is?
The best thing about trucking, I guess, would be the being outside, I guess, the independence. It's you in the truck taking care of the job that needs to be done. I don't know, there's plenty of things I like about it, but that basically being not cooped up behind, when I always felt like when I was in the factory, it wasn't that. I always loved trucking and I wanted to be doing it, but I thought it'd be better off to do the 9 to 5. But it always felt like a prison to me. Like, just go in, clock in, and spend your 8 hours, 12 hours, hell, sometimes 16 hours and that stuff I worked at, but it provided a good life for my family and I was home, so. But the best part is just being behind that wheel and taking care of the job at hand.
So what in your life changed going from being a single guy driving versus a family man?
Well, right there is the biggest thing. It is, driving truck is probably one of the hardest jobs that a person's got to do, not just let alone the job itself, but to have a family life and do your job to provide for your family, it's two separate things, and it is difficult. You gotta have a strong wife at home. You gotta have kids that understand that you're out there doing a job to provide for them. It takes strong relationships, strong family to do that. It's not something that is easy to do by any means. But I guess I don't know if that really answered the question or not, but
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Okay, here's a good one. What is a lot lizard?
a lady of the night that is, her services are for men to keep them company. And the funny thing is, I've never had a lot lizard, and never will, but I did at a time that I was a long time on the road when I was with Gainey and that stuff, and I hadn't really had contact. Is that I pulled in the rest area, and I can't remember now where it was, but she was walking through the rest area and knocking on doors and that stuff, but she wanted to hop up in my truck, and I said, yeah, come on up. So she thought I was doing business, and I basically just paid her $25 to sit there and have somebody to talk to for a change. And she thought it was the weirdest thing ever, but I just really wanted somebody to talk to, so. Yeah, but lot lizards are basically women selling their body for compensation of cash for having the guy have their body.
Okay, home cooked meal versus truck stop food.
Home cooked meal every time.
Does eating in the truck ever get old?
Oh yeah, it's not. The biggest thing I can tell you is if you're actually a new driver and that stuff, it might be fun to see different restaurants and all that stuff, but honestly, if you're gonna do it over the road, the best thing to do is get groceries, have meals. If you cook at home, bring stuff from home, eat that, because it is a little bit of taste of home when you're out there. Plus, it's also freaking expensive as hell to buy meals every day. If you're buying at least 2 meals, if you're buying breakfast and you go until supper, I mean, that could be an easy $30 a day. So you add that up for all week long, that's a lot of money at the end of the week. So home cooked meals are the way it is, and it's nice. You get, what I would really look for would be like interesting places. Greasy spoons are kind of always cool, been to me. You get a good meal, cheap food. Hopefully you won't be diarrhea later, but whatever. But home cooked meal, yes, 100% all the time.
So that kind of leads into the next question. How do you handle potty emergencies on the road?
Well, there's always an off-ramp or everything else if you got to go into it. As faithful to behind the scenes as we've had buckets, and cups, and coffee cans and stuff to piss in and all that stuff. Emergency, if it comes out to be a number 2, well, unfortunately there's been instances where I was on medication, started metformin, and I didn't know that I reacted with certain kind of things I ate, that there was actually no time at all when they actually came up there that I had to ruin a trash can or 2 in my life, so that's all honesty with that, but it happens.
Does it get boring in the truck?
No, not really. But boring? No. I've never really actually. Driving to me is like my peace, my zen, I guess it could be in that stuff, but never get boring because there's always something going on, because it's not sightseeing, but you got beautiful scenery that you see out there, but you got tons of things to concentrate on: cars, animals in the road, your load itself, wind, everything else. But no, I don't find it boring.
Okay, well, one of the other questions was, what do you do to keep from getting bored?
Music. You got talk shows. Sirius satellite radio is probably the best thing ever invented for truck drivers. simple fact is, you got everything underneath the sun to do, to listen to have. I'll be singing at the top of my lungs if I want to. And nobody there to judge me, so, you know, I mean, trust me, there's been days where you're tired and that stuff, and you're kind of like dozing off, but you just crack a window and stick your head out the window and it wakes you right up, so.
Can you make good money in trucking?
Yeah. It's a give and take. It all depends on what you think is good money or whatever. The simple thing is, you have a truck, you have to be ready to make some miles, move. You gotta have, if you're gonna make good money, it's gotta be a two-way street. You gotta have good dispatching, good company to go with and keep you on the groove. But, you know, you gotta realize you gotta get the miles a week, and if you're not getting it, you're not gonna make money. So, yeah, I believe there is good money in trucking, but, you know, in all honesty, the industry, I'm not making much more different money-wise than when I started till now. I mean, even though the pay scale is higher than what it was, it's still not, for what we do out there, it's still not enough for the industry.
How do you feel about regular vehicle drivers on the road? Like, we guys call them four-wheelers.
Well, I've always said this, and everybody, my wife knows and that stuff, you can only control one person, and that's yourself. It doesn't really matter. There's stupid truck drivers and there's stupid four-wheelers and that stuff. But the way I drive is that I drive thinking that everybody's a horrible driver. So I'm always prepared. It's just simple as that. You gotta be prepared. And driving truck is, you know, you think that you're just driving on the road, tooling around and that stuff, but you're always analyzing, you're always thinking, you're always looking to see, well, if that car up here, when you're in a regular four-wheeler, you're just looking at the car ahead of you. When you're in a semi, you're looking a half a mile in front of you. You're looking and you're scanning up and down, going back and forth, seeing what can happen, seeing somebody brake check. Are four-wheelers idiots? No, they're not. But do they give us the respect we should? Hardly ever. They think we're just an inconvenience for the most part. But it's not that they're idiots, it's just that I think everybody's an idiot. So.
Good answer. Do you think they should teach new drivers truck safety in driver's ed?
100%, because that's, like, it just goes back, like I said, people don't understand. They look at us, and I think I don't know how many millions of trucks out there and that stuff, but we're an inconvenience. But when it comes down to it, everything you touch, you buy, you own, you look at in the store, what it is, it comes from us truckers. We're not out here to be an inconvenience, and it sucks that, yes, it takes us a lot of time because we're doing 40 tons on the road. Basically, that's 80,000 pounds, if you don't know that. And it takes us a while to get up to speed. But in the same token, it takes us a long time to slow down, too. And four-wheelers, when you come in and you shortchange us and you want us to slam on the brakes, you think we're cutting a dime, we can't, you know? And we're not out here to be an inconvenience. We're out here to provide for our family. It's a simple thing. So, yeah, I think it would be a great thing for all people to understand what semis are about, what they could see. Hell, even have a semi in there so they could see the view from our seat. That's not, you know, it's a great thing, but to actually get a ride with it would be actually great in my eyes.
What is the longest you've been away from home?
Longest I was with, like I said, it goes back to when I first started, was with Gainey. I was almost 3 months at a time I was gone. And it wasn't so that, they actually didn't mind it back then. I didn't mind actually being out for like a month at a time. It was just hard as hell to get them to get me back in there. But 3 months was the longest. It was damn near 3 months. And I got home, and then they said, well, we're going to give you a week to be at home. And 2 days later, they were calling me to And we got a hot load. We gotta go. So, yeah, 3 months is the longest I ever stayed out on the road.
The next question was, how does it affect your family life being out on the road for a longer period of time?
Well, it's stressful because you want to be with somebody, you know, especially a 21-year-old kid. You go from driving on the road to that, you know, if you're married or not married, or you got a girlfriend and that stuff, or you have family out there. It was hard on my mom, let alone that she was the one that got me the job, and she'd literally cry every time that she would have to send me off, which was more difficult, you know, even for me to leave. But once I got going. But stressful, you know. She's got to take the brunt of the house and the kids and that stuff. Why? And she understands at the same time I'm not out there joyriding, you know. So that's where you gotta have, if you're in a marriage or relationship, you gotta know one another that, you know, you come around and it sucks that you want to be with each other, but at the same token, that's just not the lifestyle of truck driving. You gotta be separated. You gotta have strength that you know that once you're back together that it's good, you know.
What is the farthest you've been from home?
Well, I've been from border to border, sea to sea, so I've been every state there is, so
You've been to all, what is it, 48?
48.
48 that's been in. What was your favorite place you've ever been to?
Boston, hands down. My wife knows I love Boston, and if I could move there, I wouldn't. I don't know, something about Boston over there in Massachusetts I just absolutely loved. I mean, it wasn't that it was a favorite place. There was a place in Arizona that was just this freaking crazy ass ride that was just non-stop hairpin turns going down a canyon and that stuff, and then you went back up and it was about the same thing, and you're you know, you gotta do your job well to get down there safely. And I got, you know, 80,000 pounds fully loaded, and you get down, I get to the top, and it took a pretty cool ass picture from there from the view. But that kind of stuff was like really always, I loved that. Out Washington, out west was just hands down the most beautiful scenery that you can get. So.
How many miles do you think you've driven in your career?
Oh, I don't know, 1 million plus, probably somewhere around there.
How many miles do you drive in a day?
630 miles a day.
Um,
It was 670, but I moved the company, so.
What's it like driving in the mountains?
It's awesome. It's beautiful and that stuff, but also very dangerous. It can be scary at times, deal with ice and all that stuff, but there's nothing better. You can ask my wife, because she took her through the Rockies one time, so that was the last time she'd ever do it.
You can keep those. They're beautiful, but nope, I'm done. I'm good. Seen them once, I'm good. How do you handle weather, like snowstorms and stuff?
Drive slow, responsible. Don't ever drive. The biggest thing I can tell you is don't ever make a company drive that's outside of your means. If you don't feel safe, don't drive, because all you're doing is putting a hazard to yourself and everybody else that's out there on the road with you. You know, if it's icy, if it's raining, and it's slippery, I slow down. It's a simple thing. Just slow down. Take it easy. So what if it takes you a little bit longer? Who cares? You're still gonna you'd rather make the load there. If you end up dead, you don't make any loads ever again. So you just take it easy, slow down, be aware, judge the conditions and that stuff, and and you can drive through most anything. But there's been only a few times it came down to where I shut it down was basically it had all the elements: wind, ice, visibility, and snow. And all those four of it ain't going anywhere. Plus it was also, the load was light as hell, so outside of that, yeah, it just drive what you feel is right.
how do you handle stresses of the road, like bad drivers, weather, traffic?
You gotta have short-term memory for that for the most part. You can get pissed off in the moment, but don't let it hold on to you because that connection make you an unsafe driver. If you're really that pissed off, stop the truck. Get out, walk, yell, scream, punch, whatever you gotta do with that stuff, get it out of your system and move on. I always say, no matter what, if somebody, I've been through it all, cut off, flicked off, anything you imagine out there, all of us truck drivers have had to deal with it. But I always make sure that it's like 5 minutes. I can be pissed off and get grumpy, but take a big deep breath, concentrate on the job at hand, and go from there. But just let it go. You gotta have short-term memory if you're gonna drive truck.
Any advice for new drivers?
Basically, I tell you, the best advice I can give you is be safe. Drive smart. Don't let a company make you do something that you don't feel safe in doing. It's hard these days anyways, especially like ELDs, but when I first started there wasn't ELDs. Driving there was wild, wild west. And I came down to it as 21 years old trying to prove myself and trying to make sure I did the best job I could possibly do. And had that company that wanted me to run and kept dropping and unloading, reloading that stuff, getting no sleep at all, and I was up for damn near 3 days with about 5 hours of sleep with cat naps in between. And I was wore out, and I got to the point where I was actually driving down the road considering to close my eyes for 10 seconds so I could actually be in there. That's 1 second that you can kill a life or kill yourself. Don't let people drive smart, or don't let people influence that don't feel as safe. If you're tired, sleep. If you can't feel like you can run through the weather, don't run through the weather. Just simple as that. The drivers, and plus, get groceries, like I said before. Don't eat out all the time on the road and that stuff. It's a lot cheaper to have in your meal and that stuff. And new drivers, just take the time and advantage of actually learning. The biggest thing is, what's the scariest thing out here for us is these new drivers are getting trained in by people that are barely any freaking time on the road themselves. So take the time to learn. Don't ever be shy about asking questions. Find out anything you can. Ask for help if you need to. I have never ever denied anybody from any knowledge that I have to know something, so just be smart.
Do you enjoy driving, or is it just a job?
Oh no, I love driving. I've always loved it. I can be sitting in my chair wanting to fall asleep in 2 seconds, but behind that wheel, I'm wide awake and I love it. There is no other job I'd rather do, to be honest. And especially now I've had a dedicated run, which I never thought I'd be dedicated, and it's fantastic.
So what do you mean by dedicated?
Basically, run the same run every day. I run up to the cities, grab a Coca-Cola refreshments, run it down to Walcott, Iowa, drop it off there, pick up another trailer with dunnage and bring that back up to Egan, and I repeat that process all week long.
Since you have been driving for a long time, what changes have you seen in the trucking industry, both good and bad?
Trucks are better, safer and that stuff. Bad things about it is I've seen people out there that just shouldn't be driving a truck. And for the one, I want to tell everybody else and that stuff, I should go back to like a new driver. Do not start this job because you're doing it because of money. Really, a driver just does it because you love it. The money's gonna come there, come and go. You're not gonna be rich and all that stuff, and hard as hell day. But like I said, it goes back before. These companies are hiring new people right off the street. They're training them with a guy that's had 6 months of friggin' driving himself, not getting training. And I can tell you, if a new guy and you're getting trained by somebody and they're not doing a proper job, get rid of them. Tell your freaking dispatcher, whoever you got to deal with and that stuff, get the proper training. and so valuable that if you just take a week on the road and they set you free in a truck, you don't know. And I've seen them all over the place. I've seen guys that can't back up into anything that's in a wide open area. I mean, if you can't back up a trailer in anywhere, in any position, in a wide open area, you're not meant to be driving a truck at all. Especially if you've been trying to do it for a year. The bad thing is the LDs. I will say it's a good thing. It's like a catch-22 basically, because
Well, wait, before you get into explaining that, what is an ELD?
electronic log data, basically electronic. You have your log books the way you've got to do it. Before it used to be just paper logs. We write everything down as our driving time, our on-duty time, our off-duty time, our break time, whatever, sleeper berth, was all written on paper. Well, they did it in a mandate through the government. And their brainy ideas that they think is so much better for us than what they ever did besides sit behind a desk and complain about everybody else. But they have it's basically a computer, so as soon as we start rolling the truck in the morning, we start up. When we got it off, we have a 14-hour rule that we got to go by. 14 hours, we have 11 hours we got to drive. After 8 hours, we got to take a break for 30 minutes to gain back our time to drive for our rest of our 11 hours for the day. Once we get 11 hours driven for the day, we have to shut down for 10 hours to get back that time. Before, of course, everybody else then says, when I write books and that stuff, I could run the truck the way I wanted to run it and get up there, because this day and age, as it is now, as it is just back then. Shippers and receivers don't give two bits about us truck drivers if we gotta sit there for 1 hour, 4 hours, 8 hours, or until the next day. Doesn't affect them one bit, but affects us. But if we start our clock and drive for 15 minutes to a warehouse to get loaded, and we're there for 4 hours, now we only have 10 hours to drive on, plus you gotta take an 8-hour break in between that, so you actually only have 9.5 hours to drive for a day, and we're losing money. You can't make the miles, you can't do anything else. So that's basically, and there's no cheat in the system. Once those wheels are churning, you gotta go. Whatever the clock says, you're out of time. And the bad thing about it is, when you get down to it, if it's 4:30 in the afternoon, and you gotta shut down, you gotta take your 10-hour break. Tell me who can go to bed at 4:30 in the afternoon, besides my wife. But I love you.
Wow, thanks, hon.
But you know, at that time, so you're up until 10:30. Well, then you gotta be, or 9:30, 10:30, and you gotta be up and going at 2:30 in the morning. You know, well, now you've had like 4 hours of sleep. You're tired, you're groggy, and you repeat the system. Well, when you do it, you know, you drive for a solid 11 hours out of that. You're shutting down, maybe take a break. You're shutting down at 2:30, so the next day is 12:30. You know, and the whole process gets to be shit. I don't know how he comes around it, but yeah. So.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I've seen the good things out about it, that you actually run it and you run it right. You have a company that knows how to work with you and that stuff. It's the first time that I've actually been, it's been nice too, on the other hand, that you run your time and you get done and you start back up, and I don't know, when first time I got into doing the computers, I didn't know what to do with myself when I actually had a full 10 hours that I wasn't ever used to having before, so it kind of sucked at that point too.
Well, I'm out of questions. Any final words that you'd like to leave the YouTube nation?
Well, I wish I would have had a face for a camera, but I only had one to love. I had a face for my mother to love. For some reason my wife does too. I wasn't too smart to be a doctor, so a truck driver I was. But otherwise, no. Don't like talking in front of camera, but my wife made me do this. She's holding a gun to my head. I'm held hostage.
I did not. Both my hands are right here.
Just put the gun down. Don't believe her.
Wow.
Right, Sam? Yep.
Whatever.
But no, you've covered enough for me that I wanted to talk about.
All right.
He has a gun.
Tell everybody bye.
Bye.
Bye.